Hey everybody, welcome back to another episode of Gavinsky's Tutorials. Today I'm going to do a little walkthrough of Mersenne by iceWorks. So on the App Store, you'll find this developer under the name iceWorks, but their website is iceGear.net. That's their old name, iceGear. And this is available as a single purchase for iPad, iPhone, and M1 or higher Mac. So this is named after a French polymath scientist called Mersenne from, I think, the 17th century. Known as the father of acoustics, did a lot of research on sound. I think all of this developer's apps pretty much are named after scientists, if I'm not mistaken. So yeah, in the video today we'll walk through the app. I've got a preset loaded here by Sound of Israel. He's done a bunch of presets for this. Really good ones, really good. What I'm going to do first here is turn off the filter section in effects. I think I'll just leave the delay and chorus on. And we'll just quickly look at the overall way the synth works and a couple of UI elements, and then dive into tweaking and demoing the details. So basically this is an FM synth. So we have two FM sections, tone A and tone B. And each tone has a separate section for body and attack. Then we have the noise section. We've got a resonator here. The resonator, we can choose here how much of the tone A noise and tone B oscillators goes through the resonator. So for example, here in this setup, tone A and tone B are not going through at all. And the noise is going through a little bit, but we could increase that. So let me just turn off this. And let me put noise through. I turn the noise level up. Okay, so by putting all the noise through the resonator now, we've ended up with something that is no longer noisy. So putting noise through a resonator, that's basically physical modeling type approach. And so here we got a bit harmonic and a bit inharmonic. Okay, now let me just click out and go back to that preset again. Oops, jumping through too quickly. I'm going to turn off this filter again. So I had a chat with a guy called Key on the Audiobus forum about this and whether other FM synths, including, for example, Nambu by the same developer, could do exactly what Mersenne does. We talked a bit about some of the differences between this, and he pointed out that on the App Store it says that this is optimized for making bell tones, but doesn't really give any details about it. And he pointed out, I think rightly, that what it does for that is in the body and attack sections, the hardness knob, this is what controls the FM depth, so we turned that up. Let's play with color for the body of tone A. I'm going to turn off the noise and tone B. So now we're only hearing tone A. So if I go through that color knob here, you can hear that basically everything is harmonic. So it is probably limiting the, well, it's definitely limiting the ratios that it can have in the FM synthesis. And that's why this is basically just very musical FM. So another nice thing about this compared to many other FM synths is that it's just Very simple to understand, really easy to use, and it's very nice to look at as well. I love the UI. Okay, so now we're just listening to tone A, fine. Let's just quickly look at a couple of things here. So up here at the top, we have this little section where we control some things like volume and glide and pitch bend range and stuff like that. Here we have the ARP. The ARP on the iceGear stuff is really cool. We'll look at that a bit later. Here, MIDI learn. Here's some settings. Now there's a lot of stuff here. Again, you can look at the manual if you want more details on this. For example, you can micro-tune each note. If we scroll down a little bit, this it can be a handy one to adjust. With this on, when you switch between presets, the arpeggiator settings will also change to whatever was saved with that preset. If we turn this off, like let's say, for example, I like the arpeggiator in this patch and I want to demo other presets, but I want to keep the arpeggiator settings from this particular preset, then I just turn this off. So we can see here the arpeggiator is on. That's what this is like without the arpeggiator. This I'm using Harmony Bloom. It's being transposed by this step bud. So I'm just going to turn the arpeggiator back on for that. So then here, another element of the UI that is a little bit hidden. In the effects section, press on this to open up this section where we can turn on and off various effects and tweak them. So we've got a chorus, delay, reverb, and filter. So let's look at tweaking tone A here. So first of all, we can adjust the pitch by semitones. And if we want finer adjustments, we have the detune knob here. So of course that can be nice to have tone A and tone B on and then do a bit of detuning. Now this button here will just drop everything down one octave. Now then we can adjust the pitch. So for example, we could use the LFO here. So that just uses a sine wave. And if you want to use other waveforms, well, just use your own LFO to adjust tone A pitch. And so here we've got the depth and here the rate. Now we can also adjust the pitch using this envelope modulator here. So we can get a rising or a falling tone depending on which direction we put it. And how long that pitch bend takes will depend on the decay speed. So then in the body section, so this is for the body, the main part of the sound, and the attack is just for the initial part of the sound. So body hardness, that's controlling the FM depth of the body section. So if you have hardness down and you're adjusting color, it's not going to do anything because color is just adjusting the FM ratio. But if there's no depth, it won't make any change. So let's turn hardness up full, FM depth up full. Play around with color, remembering that we're not really going to have any very inharmonic sounds with this. But depending on the ratio, we might get a bit out of tune, and you might like that. And we can modulate the hardness, so velocity will just set how much velocity of the input notes will modulate that hardness. So when it's set like this, only very, very hard velocity, very high velocity would cause that hardness down here. Everything's going to be very hard at the moment. So we could adjust hardness with the LFO as well. So turn that up full and a nice fast rate, so it's very easy to hear. But that's with a slower rate, that can also be very nice. And again, of course, you could modulate this with external LFOs. And so that's the body part of the sound now. Same principle with attack. So let's turn the hardness up, okay, so you hear that. So that's a bit sort of blunter sounding. And that's a lot brighter sounding. And so we can get nice, bellish sounds, plucked sounds, kind of wooden sounds, mallet. Again, we can modulate that with velocity. Not with the LFO for this one. We have an attack and decay envelope just for the attack sound. And we can also turn sustain on for that. So that's just an on-off control for the sustain. So that's a bit kind of steel drumish, isn't it? That kind of blooming. So they're a very short sound taking down the decay. Love the sound of this thing. It's just such a pleasure to tweak. And so then over here we've got the sustain for the entire tone A, not just for the attack section like this one is. That's kind of cool. So that's just bringing the decay down here. Damper amount can reduce the release time, shorten the release time. So here we have long release time, so everything getting kind of nicely messy. You have level, you can adjust how sensitive it will be to different velocity notes. And you have overdrive here. So let's look at just the noise section. So I'll turn off tone A and tone B, and I'll just check here. I want the filter off. I'll leave the delay and reverb on. So the noise section's a bit low, so let's turn up the level. And first I'm going to forget about the resonator, so I'm going to turn N for noise down here in the resonator section. So now the noise is not going through the resonator. Tone A and tone B are, but they're off, so let's not worry about those. So here we can adjust the cutoff, and you have low pass, band pass, and high pass filters. One slightly weird and slightly annoying thing, to be honest, about the UI is that you can't actually click directly on each. You have to rotate through them using this button. I guess there was probably a problem with how they were responding to touch, maybe. Anyway, it's not a biggie. You can adjust how key tracking will modulate the cutoff. So for example, you could set it up that the cutoff will increase with higher notes and so on. And you can adjust how velocity will affect filter cutoff and so on. We have envelope and decay. And here the resonance. Let's just put it on low pass and just do a sweep. I'll bring the resonance down a little bit. So now we have sustain on. You're increasing attack and decay. Again, we have the damper. Level and how velocity sensitive it will be. And we can then make it granular. So that can be quite nice to put those kind of grain sounds through the resonator. I'll bring the pitch up a little bit. Turn on the sustain. Overdrive. Okay, let's click through. And so tone B is identical to tone A. So let's just look at how tone might sound put through the resonator. I'm going to turn tone B and noise off. I'm just going to turn that filter off. And so here I'm going to bring up the wet for the resonator for tone A. Increase the feedback and turn on sustain. I'll just bring the level down a little bit there in the resonator. And there's the negative feedback. And we can change the pitch of the resonator. Whoa. So yeah, you need to be careful with this because it can get very kind of clippy sounding if you're generating maybe a lot of the same harmonics. It can get quite harsh. So that's where the filter also can come in handy to sort of tame things a little bit. Let's click through. So because of the Arpeggiator, you know, it can be really fun to switch between presets and you just get a totally different feeling. So let me turn everything off first. Chorus, dry, wet, depth and rate. Stereo spread. Nice. Delay. With the dry, wet, left and right time, these are times in eighth notes. It's a pity that there's no free option for the delay. So that's turning the dry and the wet up. So let's turn up the feedback. And we can use this to dampen the high frequencies. Bring the feedback down a bit. And then we can have cross feedback with the left delay line feeding back into the right side and vice versa. Get some nicely complex stuff with that. So if you turn the delay off and on, sometimes you might get a wee click, so you might want to avoid that by just using the dry wet, but there wasn't any clicking or anything there. So the reverb has two modes. When the light is on, it's on standard, or you can tap this to switch it to cheap mode. So this is just fully wet. So now with the very long reverb time, it's almost like organ-like, isn't it? That's kind of really lovely, actually. So filter, dry wet, cutoff frequency. You can modulate that cutoff frequency. Not really hearing that too much there, actually. Let's look at the Arpeggiator. We reminder everybody, if you're enjoying the video, please do smash the like. Take a few seconds to write a comment as well, help the algorithm a little bit. If you are a fan of my work, please consider checking out my Patreon. It's really good, very active, great way to support me but while getting stuff back. Thank you so much to everybody who's supporting me there. You're hugely appreciated. So the Arpeggiator, here it's set to program. So it's following what we've set up down here. Now I'm going to take these off and just play some latched notes. So we got here 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Let's put in 7. So here, this will play the first note. This will play the second, the third, the fourth. 3, 2, 1. Now here, this is counting from the highest note. So here it will play this C. If we change this to 2 by dragging down, it would play the B flat here. So that's the program setting, right? These are counting up from the bottom of the chord, and these are counting down from the top. So this is the top note, this is the one below the second highest note. And the manual explains a bit about why he chose to do it like that. But we're on up now. Sorry, let me change this back to program here. Damn. I was wondering why I wasn't hearing any difference there. Now what's a pity is that there's no randomize button here. Now key sync, with key sync when we play a new chord, the pattern will reset to the start. But here, because I've just got latched notes, that will not make any difference whatsoever. But if we go back to putting in that input, you can see here when it's resetting, resetting every time a new MIDI note input is received. So if we change the style, And let's turn key sync off. So now we're getting an upwards pattern. Downwards. Random. Let's put it back to program again and reduce the step length. So remember, I'm not putting a chord in here. Let me change it back to chord, it'll make it a bit clearer. So, increase the step length. Now we can change the rate here. But it's a pity there are no dotted or triplet options. And there's also no free rate available, which is a real pity, I think. So here you can see that pattern. Now here, when it plays this D, okay, because that's the last note here, it's also putting it up an octave because we've got octave pressed here. Actually, it's putting it up 2 octaves. So if you have 2 here, anytime you turn on octave for a step, it will, let me increase that rate a little bit. It will actually put it up 2 octaves. Here it will put it up 1, and here it will just ignore it. See, I still keep wanting to click these. I'm really not used to having to use these buttons. A little bit annoying, that. See? Really gets me every time, that. Now, let me go back to using Harmony Bloom there. So we can also, hey, what's happened there? We can also activate glide, and whether that actually does anything will depend on whether we've turned on glide here. So let's put on that glide. There you hear the glide. So if we want to adjust that glide speed, we need to go back here. That's quite nice like that. And we can add an accent. So add a bit of velocity at certain steps. Turn key sync off. Then we can control the gate. Just make the notes shorter. And we can also just adjust the gate of certain steps. Turning on this staccato button. So you increase the staccato amount here, then it will shorten the notes more. You got swing here as well. So, oh yeah, and then here we've got a little saturator button to turn on saturation. So what a cool and beautiful little instrument. So we'll finish up there, everyone. Thank you for watching. Hope you enjoyed it. And I'll see you in the next video. Take it easy. Have a good rest of your weekend. Cheers.